like to welcome you all to the Rise Up Australia campaign launch for the 2016 election. I would first like to acknowledge the presence of our party founder and leader, Dr. Daniel Nalaya. Thank you to the media present and for being here to document history. Thank you to our state presidents and candidates present from right across the country, Northern Territory, the ACT, Queensland, New South Wales, WA, and Victoria. Thank you also to our volunteers and helpers for your tireless work, including in the states of South Australia and Tasmania. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Babette Francis of Endeavour Forum. We'd like to also acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. We also want to acknowledge it's the Queen's birthday observance today, so we'd like to wish her a happy 90th birthday. Our next speaker needs no introduction, but bear with me while I still give an introduction. Daniel Nalaya, originally from Sri Lanka, has also spent time living and working in Saudi Arabia with his wife and children. Dr. Nalaya is a law reformer and a prominent human rights advocate. During his time in Saudi Arabia, he was instrumental in securing a royal decree from King Fayed so that Arab Christians and other non-Muslims could practice their religion in their own homes, free from the risk of arrest, imprisonment or possible beheading. In 1998, Dr. Nalaya convinced the US Congress and Clinton administration to pass the US Freedom from Religious Persecution Act. From 2002 to 2007, Daniel Nalaya was in the centre of a court case for freedom of speech and religion in Melbourne, Australia, when the Islamic Council Victoria sued him on vilification charges. In 2007, Dr. Nalaya won a landmark Australian legal battle in the Supreme Court with the Islamic Council Victoria for freedom of speech and the right to criticise parts of the Quran which promote hate and religious intolerance. He was officially recognised and thanked by the former Prime Minister John Howard in his office in Canberra. He was also nominated for Australian of the Year in 2007. Mr. Nalaya has travelled to many countries in Europe, so Eastern Europe, Asia, Middle East, Africa and USA. His life story is recorded in his book Worship Under the Sword and his second book, The 21st Century Culture War in the West, which explains the dangers of Islam in the West. In 2010, Dr. Nalaya started Rise Up Australia Party and intends to carry his vision for Australia into the political arena and take us all with him. In 2013 federal election, Rise Up Australia Party contested seats in almost every state and territory in Australia, standing 93 candidates, 77 in the lower house and 16 in the upper house. From 2013, Dr. Nalaya has successfully lobbied the current coalition government, led by Prime Minister Abbott at the time, in changing the name of the Immigration Department from Immigration and Multicultural Affairs to Immigration and Border Protection. He is currently a major voice against multiculturalism and Islamisation of the West. Please can you welcome Dr. Daniel Nalaya.
Well, welcome to everyone who is watching us across the nation and across the nations right now to the live webcast at riseupaustraliaparty.com.
Yes.
I hope you enjoy this morning as we bring what's in our heart into your homes.
Yes.
Thank the media for coming in this morning. But I think social media brings the whole picture of who we are right in the heart of every Aussie who's watching us right now. Our Rise Up Party website in the last 2 months has peaked. In March we had 500,000 hits. In April, we had 1 million hits, 1.4 million hits in April. And in the month of June, the first 10 days, we had 1 million hits on our website for the first 10 days. Now that tells a story that people are looking for change in Australia.
Yes.
Why? Because they're sick and tired of the major parties running the show and not giving them the right, not listening to the voice of the people, but doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
I remember my mom told me once, she said I was speaking at a forum, and she happened to come to that, and she says, "Why are you using a mic?" And I said, "Because people can't hear me in the back of the hall." She said, "I was at the back of the hall, and you were too loud. I think you have 2 speakers in your belly." So I'll keep going. So people in Australia are looking for change right now.
Yes.
I think there is some 30% plus voters this election are looking for alternative parties to vote for. It's been a habit in our nation for generations to come. If my father, my grandfather, great-grandfather voted Liberal or Labour, I vote the same way. But I have news for Labour and Liberal and the Greens this election. People are not going to vote that way anymore.
No.
Because Rise Up Australia Party is a serious contender in this 2006. We mean what we say, and we say what we mean. We're a party known to be politically incorrect, not correct. People ask me questions such as, do you hate Islam? Or do you have a problem with Islam? Expecting me to dodge the bullets, try to sidetrack and shadow box. I don't shadow box, I don't sidetrack. I tell you what, I do not like Islam because it's not a religion. It's a whole system. It's an ideology.
Yes.
And when I look at that and I look at Hitler's Nazi Germany, it makes me very worried to say that Adolf Hitler was a man who made an ideology. But for Islam, it's God who has given them a mandate. I'm sure all of you are aware, just last night, there was an attack on US soil. 50 plus people dead, 50 plus people injured. One guy, but pledged to ISIS, support of ISIS, carried out the attack, shouting Allahu Akbar. Of course, the news which says this, once again they'll say, what do they say? A lone wolf, mentally derailed person, who was a psychic problem. You got to read the Quran to understand what they teach. But there are many, many Muslims in Australia who are peace-loving Muslims. We fight for all peace-loving people. I call on every peace-loving person in this election to unite as one, to denounce some of the teaching of Islam. Don't get fearful, don't be intimidated. Because if you fear, if you get intimidated, we are playing right into what Islamists want to happen in our nations. At this point, I think of those people who have died in that attack, their families. Can we be upstanding right now to spend 1 minute in silence in honor of those who have lost their lives in this attack? Let's do that. Thank you. You may take your seats right now. Thanks. Those of you who are watching the live webcast right now, I hope you're getting clear reception so that we could get this message across to your homes. Rise Up Australia Party was founded in 2010. If I would say we started this party in 2010. Just in a lounge room, having a chat with a few people. Why did this come to be? In 1997, when I called Australia home, I was very surprised. I was blessed to see the prosperity of the country. I was so happy to come into a free and democratic society after living in Saudi Arabia, 40 minutes from Mecca, been forced to watch 3 people getting beheaded. And I realized when I came here, there was a major problem. The problem was the people were very complacent, much apathy. No one realized the danger of what Islam could bring to a Western nation or any nation. When I started speaking out against this, people laughed, including people like Sunrise host David Kochie. I want to single him out because I think he thinks he's a bit too smart for the job. I remember reading a story in the good book called the Bible. In that it speaks of a man who had a very good job working for a king. His name was Nehemiah. It so happens to be the last 3 letters of his name still the same as my surname, Nalaya. I-A-H. And the story says that one day he met a few Jews who were coming by him out of Jerusalem. They were passing his city. He flagged them down and he asked them, "What's happening in our home city?" And they responded, "The walls are broken down." At once this guy realized that the people of his own kind were in much danger. And as you read through, you'll find out it specifically states, and it states that the people were so complacent, full of apathy, they didn't know how vulnerable they were, but the enemy could have attacked them any time. It took an outsider to see the seriousness of the city of Jerusalem's vulnerability for the enemy to attack. And when I came into Australia, I was an outsider, and I could have clearly seen how dangerous it was, the way people are thinking and what people are doing. Well, today, to cut a long story short, things have changed. Because Islam has shown its true colors around the world. From September 11th to today, there's some 28,000 lone wolf attacks. Ha ha ha! Lone wolf attacks. 28,000 mentally sick people. Let me tell you something, if that's true, then Muhammad had a problem. Because he did the same in his time, 1400 years ago. People tell me, but that was the time that culture was that. Hold on. He's a man who administered the beheading of 800 people in the Banu al-Qurayshi tribe in Mecca and Medina. He killed a whole family to take the daughter. He killed a husband to take the wife. He took a daughter who was 6 years old, had sex with her when she was 9. When I look at that, I went into the internet and I thought, let me check what is the meaning of terrorist. And the meaning of terrorist is when people terrorize people with fear and intimidation, carrying out attacks, such as what's happening. And I thought to myself, imagine the 6-year-old girl shaking in fear, not knowing what moment this man is going to have sex with her. Then people tell me, but that's the culture of the day, Danny. Wake up to the reality. Hold on. I lived in Saudi Arabia. I've been to the Middle East. 600 years before Muhammad, there was a man called Jesus who came in. He didn't promote violence. On the whole, he said, if someone slaps you on one side, do the other side. He said, do good for those who persecute you. Love them. Pray for them. 500 years before that, or maybe 1,100 years before Muhammad, There was a man called Buddha. Neither did this man promote any violence. So you can't get away by saying the culture of the day was the situation. No. It's a mindset of a man who produced a religion, indoctrinating a whole multitude of people across the world. You can't help. When you're born into a Muslim family, no one can redeem you from that. You're born and you become a Muslim, and we've got to understand that part of it. We've got to love every Muslim who lives in our society. In fact, our neighbors are Muslim where I live. My daughter plays with their daughter. We don't hate anybody because I'm a Christian minister. And if I hate somebody, I'm not fit to do my job. But we have every right to stand against an ideology which promotes violence. May I say this? I fought a court case for 5 years. The reason I fought for freedom of speech is that so that we could one day continue to stand and continue to speak and keep Australia Australian for the generations to come. So the question is asked, how do we deal with this problem? Rise Up Australia Party is not a one policy party. Check our website. We have some 35 policies. We are for 51% ownership of land and infrastructure. I've been monitoring some of the sales which have been taking place. Land has been sold, our infrastructure has been sold 100% to foreign buyers. When I say foreign buyers, I'm not talking about just non-white Australians, no. I'm talking about people who don't have a residency or a citizenship in Australia. I am black, you're white, there's yellow, there's green, there's purple, there's blue. There are multicolored Australians, that's not an issue. What I'm saying Australian, it means all of us together. If you're a resident, if you're a citizen, you're an Australian. But if you're a non-resident or a non-citizen, you should not be given the right to buy 100% ownership. Do you agree with me? 51% national ownership, 49% foreign ownership. I went to an auction one day just to check it out. And this young couple were bidding for a house. While there were 3 others on the phone talking to someone somewhere overseas, outbidding the couple by $200,000 or $300,000. So our young Aussies don't get a chance to buy a new home, whereas overseas buyers are buying those homes at high prices. I have heard of one story because we put it in the newspaper that some foreign buyer has 200 houses he's renting in Australia. Recently there was a land bought in South Australia, 2,000 acres of farmland by the Sheikh of Doha, Qatar, a Muslim country. Now, in his newspaper this is what he reported. We are buying land in Australia in case there's a recession in our country or an economical crisis. We could import food from Australia to feed our people. How about Australians thinking about our own Aussies? 2 generations from now, God forbid, if there's a problem on our soil, we need to have things in place so that we can look after our people. Rise Up Australia Party, when elected, not if elected, when elected, we'll make sure that we pass legislation in Parliament to ban partly or completely imports of fruits and vegetables, giving the opportunity for our farmers and producers to have a market in their own land, in their own soil. It's a sad day when we see our own farmers having to dump their produce because they can't get a market in their own country. Rise Up Australia Party will fight for the rights of farmers. Rise Up Australia Party is committed to being proactive, not reactive. In saying so, once we are in government, we'll pass a motion in Parliament to ban any attempt of Sharia law being introduced in Australia. We will not wait for Sharia law to be introduced and then turn it around? But rather you go beforehand and stop it from even happening.
Yes.
And some person who is fast asleep wakes up one morning and says, that will never happen in our soil. Aha! It's already happening on our soil. There are 2 Sharia courts in New South Wales. And it's an investigation currently. You know why it got exposed? Because of family dispute. When it was taken to the family court judge ruled in favor of the wife. The husband took it to the Sharia court at the Laganda Mosque. And the Sharia court gave a ruling saying the infidel judge, his decision was not valid. Thus, the right has to be in the hands of the man. According to Islam, a woman literally has no rights, and the man has all the rights. So she was ordered to go back to the husband, at which point the woman leaked the message to the respective departments, and now they are under investigation. In Great Britain, there are more than 100 Sharia courts in Great Britain. France literally has no hope. Europe is in a mess. But somehow, someone above watched over Australia when he placed us down under. Placed us down now. That's good. I hope you are watching us at home and your ears didn't get blasted or something. Placed us down under so that we could be protected with water right around us. Now, when I started Rise Up Australia Party in 2010, we launched the party in 2013. And the first interview I did with SBS, I like to relate this. What ticks me off is if an Aussie stands up and is patriotic and says, I love my country, or makes a statement such as that, immediately the media will lead the operation in gunning him down, calling him a racist. And all the lefties and the socialists will join together and shout, you racist, you racist, you racist. These lefties even burn our Australian flag because they have no regard or respect for our flag. Australia, it's time for us to take a stand. So we launched the party. On my radio, my phone rings. There's a SBS reporter on the line. He says, we're talking to Daniel Nalaya, the president of Rise Up Australia Party. This party is another racist party, a white supremacist party. Let's talk to his leader. He did all the work, he tried to condemn me, tried to pull me down, but he didn't realize that I was not white. When I came on the phone, I said, Mike, I think you did do your homework quite well. So what do you mean? I said, I'm not white, I'm a black fellow from Sri Lanka originally. And I said, how could a black guy lead a white party? That's not seem right. I said, this is about, not about white or black, Mike. This is about protecting our nation for the next generation. I'm calling on every Aussie. Yes. Rise up without fear. Yes. Do not be intimidated. Yes. By the left, by the socialists, by the media, by no one. Right. If your conscience is clear, if your heart is right, if your attitudes are correct, you have the right to stand up and shout out on the rooftop. Yes. This is Australia. Yes. You come here, you integrate, you assimilate. If you think where you come from is better than where you come into, then pack your bags and go back to where you came from. Yes. Come this federal election, the big boys in the Liberals and the Labour have decided that they will pass legislation, and the Greens to keep us out of Parliament. That's right. Yeah. But let me tell you something. That's going to backfire on them big time. Because for too long, they have been treating everyone like, well, the boys, they're the big boys, they have the right to do what they want to do. People in Australia are not stupid. That's right. Yeah. And I'm calling on every Aussie to think smart. Yes. This election.
Vote smart.
Yeah. When you vote, don't go there rushing through because you want to put a tick and get out of the place so that you don't get a fine. Think of your children. Think of your grandchildren. And vote wisely. The government is formed by the lower house. The Senate is the watchdog for the government. So you have two ballot papers that you're going to vote for in voting. The lower house, make sure that you put the Greens the very last. Because I don't even touch them. Their policies and values are warped. Second last, Labour. Third last, Liberal National Coalition. So you would ask me the question, who are you backing? I'm backing no one because they are all birds of the same flock. Or as same one bird with two wings on both sides, both are dirty. But the one which is a little cleaner right now is the one which is liberal. And they go much with our values to protect Australian values and Australian culture. Vote one, Rise Up Australia Party. We will be running approximately 50 to 60 candidates, upper house seats as well as the lower house seats across the country. And we're looking for a great campaign. When you go to vote in the Senate, you'll find that sheet of paper in the Senate is like a bed sheet. So long, or a mattress. Rise Up Australia Party in Victoria is positioned right towards the end. In other states, they might be somewhere in the middle or somewhere else. Go through the whole page. Put one Rise Up Australia Party. Put if you're going to vote minimum 6, you can vote as many as you want. Put in other like-minded parties in the other 6 positions. But do not vote Labour, Liberal or Greens in the upper house. Keep it blank. The time that we sucked up to Liberals or Labour is over. The time we take it back and stand for our nation is right now. I want to close by saying, Australia, the people of Australia can decide this election. Your decisions could determine the destiny of our future generations. So when you go to the polling booth, vote wisely. Thank you for coming this morning. May God bless you.